Hi, I'm May Graves, and I'm a professional drag queen. I was actually terrified of drag queens when I first started. I was terrified of them. I thought I was really scared of clowns, and I thought that they were very similar to clowns. And I mean, like, now look at me, it's just karma. But yeah. But one day I started a punk band, and I didn't admit to myself that I was doing drag at the time. I was just like, oh, I'm just androgynous. I'm just, I'm just like Bowie, which, like, even Bowie was doing drag, technically. Makeup in my punk shows, and I would use that in my performance. And I started this character called May because that's what I grew up being called in high school. And later on, I just got more and more deep into it, and I just fell into it. All my friends were like, why don't you just start doing drag? And I was like, ew, no. And I had a teacher in Christian school who even told me that I should start doing drag. And I was really floored by it, and I always think about that later on in life. I remember when I was a senior in high school, I made an April Fool's joke post about how, this is before I admitted to the fact of doing drag, but I did an April Fool's joke about how I was a drag queen and I just got, fired from work and kicked out of my house and all this other, it was a stupid joke, it was terrible, but because it was totally believable, and it was very dark, and I was a very dark kid, but this teacher sent me a message, totally believing that I had just been kicked out of my house because I came out as a drag queen. And she goes, if you need to stay at my place, you're totally more than welcome to, and I can help you get into drag and whatnot. And I was completely just shattered by that, because deep inside I was like, but I really am a drag queen, So, but it was very eye-opening prior to doing drag. Way later on, I wanted to join the circus after I had been in a punk band, and we were kind of breaking up the band, and I wanted to go to California to join the circus and just be a fire breather and a fire eater, and I just wanted to be a clown, and but a fabulous clown. And my friend went to Dallas and started doing burlesque shows, and I would follow him there. And then the owner of the Dallas School of Burlesque, the Dirty Blonde, came up to me and said, when am I going to see you on the stage? And I was joking, and I said, next month. And then the next month she put me in one of her shows. I started doing shows in Dallas, doing some classes at the Dallas School of Burlesque, and ever since then it's just been kind of like a drug, and it's kind of carried on into what I do now. It's been like a snowball effect. You do one show, and then you do another show, then you say yes to this show, then you forget how to say no at this show, and then you just keep doing gigs until after a while you figure out what you like, and you figure out why you're doing what you do, and then you stick with your original plan of what you want to accomplish.
Wow. How drunk are we tonight? So all the white women. Yes! I'm sorry, don't categorize me as a white chick even though I dress like one. I'm a demon. All right.
I started out being a pretty drag queen, and I got really bored of that very quickly because I always liked punk rock music and goth rock, Susie and the Banshees, stuff like that, horror movies. And so I like to consider myself to be a mixture of the villain in the horror movie mixed with the bitch that gets killed first in the horror movie. Whenever I went from this pageanty drag, I started like, I started being told that I needed to do pretty drag, and I agree with this with a lot of people starting out, is pageant drag and pretty drag is something that it teaches you a lot about what kind of effort you need to put into your drag. So, you know, wearing nails, padding, wearing huge Texas hair, like that's a lot of work. And so it kind of shows whenever you start performing that you can do all this work. And whenever you start performing, if you do like really dirty drag or you look like you just walked out of a dumpster, like even if it looks good in any other show, people aren't going to trust what you can do if you don't do something that is high glamour. And so what you do is you do this really pretty drag that's very mainstream that a lot of people are used to seeing, and that will get you your first bookings at like bigger venues. That'll get people to trust you and start booking you, and then once you have those bookings, then just do whatever you want. So it's almost like you're coming in like fooling people that you're super pretty and and you're super like pageanty, and then once you have like that booking, once you've locked in that like people can trust you and that you're actually like a good person and you're good at drag, then you can they can trust you to do like weird stuff. So it was kind of interesting because people started treating me differently whenever I started doing weirder drag. Just because that's not the thing here in Dallas. Usually, it's starting to change a little bit now, but back in the day whenever I started here, it was...
I love that sound. Let's get ready for our very own My Child. Give it up for Kilo Kiki!
Free and fun while the dogs lap around the can. Falling down, climbing trees, swimming in the river, no life jacket on their backs. Daughters sharpen knives and they hunt for food while they watch their children grow. I'm in my shell, I'm afraid of it all, afraid of loving you.
Started to find my aesthetic, which is a little more spooky. Look, I'm wearing a spider web. Then people started comparing me to her. They'll be like, oh my god, you're sort of doing what Mei is doing. I started hearing this name locally of like this person that I was like. And I think definitely like Mei definitely has a standing in the community. People have known who she is for a long time. I was intimidated by her at first, especially when I was starting to get to know her. And then I actually met her for the first time at an event that was happening in DFW at the RBC. She was booked for a fundraiser event where she was getting paid, and I was there volunteering because I've done nonprofit work, and we just talked about gender and like our lives for like a minute. Like honestly, Mei, how long did we talk backstage at that event? Like, you know, like a long time ago, like over a year ago, when we were at that show in DFW. Like you were in drag, I was not, and we talked about like gender. It was like Andy.
RBC?
At the RBC.
RBC. Okay.
It was for Queer Bomb.
Yeah, it was for,
that was the first time that I ever talked to Mei Graves. Oh my god, it was such a fan moment for me. I just like freaked out. No. Yeah, I mean like Mei became my mother basically because I wanted her to be in a way. Like I really respected her drag, and so I booked her for a show called Drag Ellum at the Nines, which is tonight. Way back in November of last year. And basically I would book her for the show and we'd start to talk and get to know each other, and it just sort of happened naturally. And like the point where I was her kid. And you know, a drag parent-child relationship can be a lot of things. It can be emotional, it can be mentorship. I think that Mei and I are definitely a more mentor-mentee relationship. She's definitely been there a lot for me when I've had questions about the drag business and questions about my aesthetic, because if I were to ask any old Dallas queen, they're gonna tell me, sweetie, you need to blend that out. Sweetie, you need to do this. But I can get an honest to God answer that's really gonna help me from her. And I think that's what is so incredible about having a drag family that is specific and curated to you.
At this age of the internet and what it can do to us and stuff like that. And so as pioneers, most of the time we have no idea what we're doing. Like most of the time we are just completely clueless. But the thing is, our generations are also taught not to say I don't know or I have no idea what I'm doing. We have to act like we know exactly what we're doing at all times. Especially in this country, we have to act like we know what we're doing. Don't want to get into that, but yeah, like it's just a it seems to be a big problem with people whenever they could just say like, you know what, like I have no idea what I'm doing and that's fine.
Fucking obvious. You get a shot or a drink, and you hand it to me because I'm having a hard night. and then we all say in unison, "Here, May." That's literally it. So that's the game that we're gonna play tonight. I like Fireball. I know. I used to date a guy who was really into Fireball. I'm also really into tragic stories that I'm very open about my 21st year in Dallas throughout my 23rd year. I'm 25 now. But sorry. I know. Yeah. But those are the worst 2 years, Mama. Let me tell you about all the things that I learned in 2 years.
A budding drag performer, the advice that I wish that I had, that would be honestly, don't be afraid to be ugly. We're in this new generation of using Instagram or immediately knowing what you're doing whenever you start, because we have Instagram and YouTube tutorials and Drag Race and all these drag queens that we can look up to. But I think that it's better to not be afraid to look ugly first and to experiment and find what works for you personally. There's so many performers who they'll start out and then they'll tell me that they don't want to get on stage because they don't look like this performer, they don't look like that performer. But I don't know, whenever I first started, I think that not being in the spotlight and trying to have this Instagram profile where you're super pretty and super amazing and like you're trying to strive for that so early in the game, not everybody can do that. Not everybody should be required to do that. The funnest time that I've ever had in drag was whenever I didn't have a spotlight on me and I could do whatever I wanted, and I wasn't thinking about my brand and I wasn't thinking about what was sellable and what people liked. I just did what I liked to do, and that's what drag is all about. Another thing that I would say is, understand your worth as well, and stay humble, and don't try to claw your way to the top. You don't have to fight to earn respect. All you have to do is just show up and be professional and say hello to everybody, and just get excited and stay excited for drag, and be in drag for as long as you love drag. So.